Welcome to ArtSwarm episode 6. ArtSwarm is an arts video program which is made entirely from art videos and audio pieces which artists send to me each fortnight. ArtSwarm episodes are themed, and this week's theme is cheese, which is quite a difficult subject to do artistically, perhaps. But of course, the more difficult ones inspire the imagination, so perhaps the more difficult ones are the more easy. And we've got a very interesting programme of 7 videos this week. And we're going to begin with my contribution, which is entitled The Life of Anquin Chatterton R9TT Cheese Bacterium, which is all about, well, I thought, how can you relate cheese to real life? How can you do something that's going to mean something to people? And I thought, well, a bacterium is what makes cheese, and they're living organisms, so I thought I would do something odd, but imagined what it would be like to be a cheese bacterium. This is the life of a cheese bacterium, born in the acid swarm of water calcium fester, a drown in lime slake, white cake of cow's marble, the edible slurry of rotted calf food. I pull with my friends, pull the chains of molecular wall chalk together into rubbery mass. The sting of salt burns the skin into wax, yellow like the man sun. This is me and my kin. We are cheese. We are cheese. This is the life of a cheese bacterium. Well, that was Anquin. Now we're going to continue our cheese-related programme with a poem by Parr, which he introduces.
This poem, Say Cheese, I wrote for Helen Kay last year for the Nantwich Food Festival. Little bit of background. I was born in Bolton, Lancashire, went to school in Manchester. But my family background, particularly, well, on both my mother and my father's side, is in Lancashire. And my father and his brother went to school with a guy called Clifford Hayworth, whose poetry name was Billabowes, and he was quite a significant Lancashire dialect poet. And in my teens and a little bit in my early 20s, I wrote a lot of Lancashire dialect poetry. This is not really dialect poetry. I can't do that anymore, but it's getting close. So say cheese. You can talk of your crumbly and creamy, Beacon Fell and all that the rest, but a bloody good chunk of how tasty is the Lancashire cheese I like best. For it's full of the flavour of Lanky, it's sharp and it rolls round your mouth. Though we don't talk so posh or talk swanky, it's better than cheese further south. We keep it for longer, thou knows that, and we get it from more than one day, so milk makes it taste like strong butter, and it's best thing on toast, I would say. So here's to your flavour of Lanky, the tastiest cheese of 'em all. Raise a pint to make us a Lanky, 'cause without 'em we'd crumble and fall.
And now our next step on our cheese-related theme. Now, this piece is a piece of music by Andrew Williams. He began with the idea of cheesy pop, a sort of light-hearted and throwaway music genre, a bit like bubblegum pop, really. And so the whole feeling of this starts really upbeat and exciting, but gradually the music and the video melt. This is Fondue. And now our first piece from John Salmon. This is entitled Cheese Sandwich, and it's a simple electronic tune with a digital visualizer that includes the words cheese at the beginning and cheese at the end. Thus the title Cheese Sandwich. And now an interesting piece from Lavinia Murray, a solemn piece about a grave drover, which is a kind of person, a kind of horse which drags graves around and soaks them with milk to create cheese. It was a wonderfully imaginative and, for me, quite moving and evocative animation, which also shows what you can do with animation of 1 frame per second, which shows you can create amazing animations without a huge amount of technical, without spending weeks making them, which is what is common with most animations.
My brothers happy, my sisters happy, and I'm a D, I'm a D.
Well, that was an amazing video by Lavinia Murray. Now we will move to France and Andrew Williams. Now, cheese lends itself to puns, which are considered quite a low form of art, even though Leonardo da Vinci himself wrote some puns in his notes, which is very interesting. Andrew's expanded on the idea of Brie and made a piece called Brie F Variations, brief variations almost. But he's done this by creating a French piece of music in the key of F, French sounding music in the key of F, and interspersed images of Brie with holiday photographs of Paris, and it almost evokes something like a tourist video or the holiday snaps of a piece of cheese that's been on holiday. And now finally in our last cheese related video we present Psychocheese, which is the second video from John Salmon, which focuses on the psychoactive element of cheese. There's a type of predicting the future using cheese called tychomancy, which involves eating cheese just before you go to sleep because of the strange dreams. This particular piece is a piece of music, but it involves vocal-like sounds in it. So John suggested that people can imagine the words of this. It's got an interesting, some words from John at the start which help explain his thoughts behind the piece too. And that concludes our cheese-themed ArtSwarm. It's quite a difficult subject. And next week's theme is being, which should be extremely interesting. There's lots of things that you could do on being. I think that's going to be extremely good. Lots of ontological experiments in art. My name's Mark Sheeky, and you have been watching ArtSwarm. You can keep track of the show on Twitter, ArtSwarm TV, or at ArtSwarm TV. And you can keep track of the next themes by visiting the ArtSwarm page on my website, marksheeky.com/artswarm.php, which will list the future themes. The key thing about ArtSwarm is that it's made entirely from things that you make and send. It has to be new, it has to be original, but that's the only criteria really. It's an experimental show that encourages people to make things and push themselves in creative new directions. I hope to see you for being in 2 weeks' time.